It does look really different, actually.
I gotta watch the
now a little bit.
we're gonna make this
That's what needs to
video.
happen here, because we know about the problems, we know about the layoff.
We're gonna make this video short but informative and straight to the point. So it's been officially announced that David Price, this was his last fight, by the way. David Price is going to be taking on Alexander Povetkin on the undercard of Joshua versus Parker. So let me break down the information for you right here. Alexander Povetkin gets a bad rep from boxing fans and from YouTube boxing media because I've realized that they have not done proper research. And when drug testing is involved and failed drug testing, you have to do research. You can't just see a headline or hear that, oh, such and such failed the drug test. Oh, they're a drug cheat. You know, you have to understand what chemicals were involved. You have to understand the background information. Like, for example, in the Luis Ortiz situation, this time he really had a legitimate reason for failing that drug test. However, it looks shady because his team didn't fill out the proper paperwork. It's like, okay, he has high blood pressure. So what the fuck? Why y'all hiding it? You see what I'm saying? In the case of Alexander Povetkin, let me show you here, right here, by the way. Let me show you right here, by the way. By the way, those phone numbers are dead. I changed them both because some freak was stalking me, some other media reporter. I have in my possession like legal documentation that, and I'm talking about, you know, maybe close to 100 pages or so of the whole Alexander Povetkin drug testing situation. So after reading all of that and after doing research, I thought to myself, okay, all right, you know, I can see his situation. And also I was able to, you know, look past the propaganda of Deontay Wilder's team, Alexander Povetkin at the time, Lou DiBella at the time, and say, okay, well, wait a minute, with these facts, like something is wrong. But anyway, moving on. As I said before, and I'll say it right here, I don't feel that in the case of the meldonium, from what I've gathered, from what I've researched, that Alexander Povetkin did nothing wrong. So the Wilder fight, he had every right not to fight Alexander Povetkin, because at that time he didn't know the full details of the drug, and you know, it being a newly banned drug, and that there wasn't enough scientific data at that time to show how long it would take for that drug to get out your system. Then there was some controversies with the lab that was testing, you know, and then Povetkin had another test that proved that the traces amount of meldonium in the system was so low. But the stigma is that because he has a multi-billionaire promoter, a guy named Rob Binsky, World of Boxing is what they're called. World of Boxing Promotions is what they're called. People say, oh, well, you know, he had this billionaire backer behind him, so of course they're going to be able to do some shady shit, you know. So it's like, it's one of those things. It's like Povetkin's name is always going to be tarnished just because of, for the most part, ignorance, or people not giving the you know, the benefit of doubt, or not proving the final reasonable doubt that he did it, you know, or that he had ill intentions. But anyway, whatever the case may be, him versus David Price is fighting. Him and David Price are fighting each other on an undercard of Joshua versus Parker. And ask yourself this: for people who know Alexander Povetkin, you know that he commands a lot of money and makes a lot of money over there in Russia where he fights, and he doesn't need to fight on anybody's undercard. So common sense tells me, and after covering boxing for all these years, his promoter, Rob Binsky, and Eddie Hearn had some type of talk and said, hey, listen, you fight on an undercard, we'll guarantee you a Joshua shot. You see what I'm saying? Now, of course, you know, I don't know, I'm not in the room, but we've seen these type of things happen over and over again. When you see a fighter of the caliber of Alexander Povetkin, which you think of him outside of the ring or not, involved in the drug test, he doesn't fight on an undercard. You see what I'm saying? He's already the mandatory for the WBA and #1 ranked by the WBO. So regardless, he's going to get his shot. And guys like him, because he does have a powerful backing and a powerful promoter, and, you know, when it comes to those promoters and fighting for championships, they care about those sanctioning fees. They want you to be in big fights that'll make more money, that'll make money, so therefore they can get more money. So guys like Alexander Povetkin would be, you know, ranked by the WBA, you know, #1 after fighting Christian Hammer. Let's go look at it, by the way. So in his last fight, he beat Christian Hammer to begin the WBA mandatory after Christian Hammer had beat David Price. In fact, I'm going to go show you a clip right now real quick of how that fight ended, in the fight where David Price was winning. Now, the issue I have with David Price is conditioning. You know, he'll be doing really, really good in a fight, which we saw with the Tony Thompson fights, both of them. Well, the one fight he got caught, was that the left hand? I forgot. He got caught with a left hand. And then, hold on, let me do this here. Let me do this here, because sometimes they like to mess with you here on YouTube. You'd be surprised like how many copyrights I done had to use my mental karate and legal karate to chop down, literally. You know, but anyway, getting back to what I was saying. Hey, I'll turn it up.
Well, he needed that one. It could well wipe out the person who's on the receiving end of it. But look at David Price. Look, but Hammer,
he's dead tired.
In his own corner once again, and David Price is struggling to retain his boxing stance. Hammer with a free shot, because he wilted in similar fashion against Tony Thompson in their rematch, and Christian Hammer is on the rampage. David Price.
If there's any fight that he needs to invest in a strength and conditioning coach, I don't care if it costs him half of his purse. He needs to do it. Because of his, it's been 4, right? It was the 2 Tony Thompsons, the Erkan Taper, and this fight. 4 losses, 4 stoppages, right? 4 losses, 4 stoppages. And, damn, I got to watch this. I got to watch this. That's the weigh-in. It just went off probably. And looking at the 2 losses, for example, the Christian Hammer, you know, he gassed out, got stopped. Erkan Taper, he got knocked out. That's when he got memed, when he was laying under the ring post. And then the 2 Tony Thompson, one he got knocked out, the other one he gassed out. Yo, bro, you need a strength and conditioning coach. When it comes to Povetkin, Povetkin fought Johan Duhaupas in his first fight back after being suspended by the WBC while that drug testing investigation went on. By the way, do you know that Deontay Wilder still has not been paid? You know, people also, YouTube media was circulating around that Wilder had got his money. That money is still in escrow, and this Deontay Wilder and Alexander Povetkin thing is still open. It's still an open case. It was appealed. You know, I believe they countersued for like Povetkin's team like $30+ million or something. It's a very, very ugly situation, and it is not over. So with the legal stuff going on, and the fact that Povetkin is now back in the mix, it creates some interesting storylines, you know? Now, in my opinion, you know, David Price seems like a good dude and everything. I've heard him commentate, you know, but in regards to him beating Alexander Povetkin, all I feel is Alexander Povetkin has just got to touch his very delicate chin. And truth be told, after rounds 4, you know, they know this stuff. They watch these fights. They know that, yeah, you know, if we don't knock him out early, then just getting past round 4, just start walking him down. He's going to gas out. We're going to stop him. So, you know, truth be told, I don't see I don't see David Price having a chance. Now, this is the guy who did a job that first was being somewhat denied by Anthony Joshua and his team. You know, he did a job on Joshua. You know, this tall, you know, slow, does have some good boxing ability, punch variations, but conditioning, you know, and with that big frame, you know, somebody was saying on a video I did the other day is that, you know, he makes guys like Tyson Fury look really, really good. And I was saying that Tyson Fury, for him to be, you know, he's about 6'8", he's listed at 6'9". For him to be the moving around the way he does, you know, being able to fight right hand, left-handed, you seen the blisters he had on his feet. It's hard for big men to move around like that in a small ring, you know, and to dodge all them punches, you know, and to have excellent conditioning even now. And he's so fat. He's not as fat as he used to be, but he's still really, really fat. Even now, if Tyson Fury was to come back and fight fat, and you know his first fight back, he's going to be fat, you know, just not as fat, you know, as he's been walking around. But even, you know, now I think Tyson Fury wouldn't gas out. You know, he'll have some issues, but Tyson Fury is a very nimble, agile fighter. So now the question is, what is Deontay Wilder going to do if he beats Luis Ortiz? You know, he's got to come straight out and say, hey, listen, let's go to the table. But then again, people get it confused. It's not up to him. He can say 50-50 all he want. And people have also been getting it confused, saying that he started saying 50-50, and that's why the fight was off the table. No, 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 no. Eddie Hearn already had plans, if it wasn't a Klitschko rematch, to fight Joseph Parker. They met last year. It was already in the plans. Now, of course, as I said many times before, that any boxer, when you have a belt, you're going to say 50-50 from the beginning. You know, I'm very highly disappointed in the very educated UK fans. I've said many times on many videos that I feel that the UK fans are far more educated and passionate about the sport than American fans. But when it comes to Anthony Joshua, it seems they throw all of that out the window and they just start, you know, I'm going to say it, you're biased. And people say I'm biased because I'm reporting the news. And I'll tell you right here, right now, excuse my language, I'm a media reporter and everything, but I don't give a fuck who wins between Wilder and Joshua. Either way, I still do a video, get 100,000 views. I give no fucks. But yet, it's this narrative going on that when you're American, you're riding with Wilder, when in my personal opinion, and through, as you can go look at the fights, Wilder does have a chance. Even though Joshua is the better overall fighter, you know, that power is there. Joseph Parker does have a chance. So using common sense, it's looking like to me that Eddie Hearn knows that they don't want to make the Wilder fight right now. However, I feel that in a perfect world, if Wilder beats Ortiz, right, no telling who he's going to fight after that, because he's going to have some issues getting an opponent if Joshua doesn't fight him. And if Joshua goes on to fight Alexander Povetkin, if Alexander Povetkin beats David Price, and then you got that IBF mandatory coming up, which will likely be Pulev or could be Gerald Miller. See, Eddie Hearn was signing Gerald Miller and putting Povetkin on the undercard. He's already set up future Joshua opponents. I talked to Gerald Miller a couple of months ago, about less than 3 months ago, the interviews here on the channel where he said Eddie Hearn is setting him up. You know, I'm paraphrasing, setting him up to fight Joshua. So looking at it like this is that they're positioning themselves to stay away from Wilder. Maybe people are right when they're saying that, well, this is just Eddie Hearn, you know, just making the Wilder fight bigger. Yeah, it's going to be bigger, but look how it's going to impact Joshua going forward if you fight somebody like Povetkin, right? Or if you fight somebody like a Gerald Miller who doesn't have a belt. I'm just saying that this is one of those situations where Wilder versus Joshua, Joshua is the A side. Joshua versus Wilder is a fight that we need in 2018. You know, I can see Eddie Hearn just trying to. We need it in 2018. You know, and maybe, you know, maybe Hearn and Joshua saying, hey, listen, you know, you can beat a Povetkin. You know, you can beat a David Price if David Price gets an upset. You know, you can beat a Gerald Miller. You know, you can beat a Pulev. But when it comes to Deontay Wilder, we know you can knock him the fuck out. But let's just wait a little bit, possibly until 2018. You know, these people are talking like this. But yet, when it comes to Anthony Joshua, what I learned is, you know, a lot of Anthony Joshua supporters don't want to hear anything critical about him, whether it's fact-based or not. Eddie Hearn is an excellent promoter. And I do feel that Wilder should go to the UK to fight him. People were twisting my words when I say that Joshua should come over to Vegas. No, he don't have to come over to Vegas. I never said that out of my mouth. What I'm saying is that if he were to come to Vegas, it's a business it's a business move of, okay, all right, we establish him in these stadiums over here, then let's bring him over to Vegas for one fight. I understand he never has to come over here, but from a business standpoint, you know, they want him to be a global superstar, and yes, he's already that outside of the United States, you know, and I understand this is some things that I'm responding to that have been coming up in comments of my videos where people say, oh, Wilder can walk around in his own town, nobody knows who he is. Yes, that may be true. You know, Wilder doesn't have too much appeal over here. He's growing. He's knocking people the fuck out, and his ratings are getting better. And, you know, even if you judge off the lack of competition, you know, looking at him inside the ring, he does seem as though he's improving. You know, Joshua versus Wilder is snowballing, and it's really becoming evident from, if I were to take and just go through comments on my last several Joshua videos, you would see a pattern of it looking like you know, from the data that I've gathered, it's looking like Joshua fans don't want the Wilder fight, right? Now, if I was from the UK, I would be saying the same shit. I have no allegiances to none of these boxers. You know, they're making excuses on why the fight shouldn't happen. Wilder and his team, especially the people who pull the strings, Al Heyman, knows that Wilder ain't getting no 50-50. Those are the people who pulls the strings. Heyman's going to say, okay, Wilder, listen, I'm going to try to get you 40, I'm going to try to get you 50%, but we know we ain't getting that shit. But we're going to try to push for 40. But if we get to 33, you know, if we can get them to 33, you know, we're going to take it. 33% or 30, we're going to take it. You know, you got to put your promoter hats on, man. You know? Wilder knows, and his team knows, Al Heyman, thank you, Al Heyman, knows that if Wilder just gets 30%, it'll be probably 3, 4 times, 5 times, 6, 7, maybe 10 times of the biggest payday he's ever had, which was like 1.5 million or something like that on paper. 1.3, something around that, less than 1.5, you know? So, I don't know. We're just going to have to see. Like I said, looking at the political, you know, landscape of this, and the fact that Povetkin versus Price is on the undercard, then he's got Gerald Miller. You know, I'm not seeing the Wilder fight this year. If Joshua and Wilder keep winning, I'm not seeing it. On TstreeT Controversy, this is TstreeT. Also, don't be surprised if these fights end up on HBO. You know, don't be surprised if you see Joshua versus Parker on HBO. So much going on. We're going to save that for another video. Well, the video though. TstreeT Controversy, TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe.